Zilara couldn't sleep that night. The break-in had left her quarters in disarray, but it was the message that truly unsettled her. "Stop looking." Two simple words scrawled in phosphorescent ink that glowed mockingly in the darkness. She gathered what remained of her research notes and transported them to her personal terminal, encrypting everything behind multiple firewalls. The artifact had been unusual from the moment she'd extracted it from the ice sheet. Unlike most archaeological finds that required careful restoration, this object, roughly the size and shape of her palm, had emerged pristine, its metallic surface unblemished by centuries buried in permafrost. The symbols etched along its edges pulsed with faint blue light when touched, and the holographic display it projected matched no known language in the Galactic Concord's extensive archives. "Humans," she whispered to herself, the word feeling strange on her tongue. According to official history, humans were merely allegorical figures in ancient morality tales, a cautionary invention representing technological hubris. Yet here was physical evidence suggesting otherwise. Professor Dravik's dismissal at the conference still stung. Next, you'll claim to have found the legendary Earth itself. He had sneered, generating ripples of laughter throughout the auditorium. But she had noticed something peculiar during his mockery. The subtle tension in the Concord security officers stationed at the back of the hall, their posture shifting from bored indifference to alert attention at the mere mention of humans. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Her terminal had completed its analysis of the artifact's material composition. The results made no sense. According to the scan, the object contained elements unknown to current scientific classification. This wasn't just advanced technology, it was impossible technology. A message flashed across her screen. "Your terminal has been selected for mandatory security updates. Please stand by." She hadn't authorized any updates. Zilara quickly disconnected the power source, but it was too late. Her files were already being systematically erased. Decades of research vanishing before her eyes. This was no random theft. Someone with considerable resources was methodically eliminating all evidence of her discovery. The door to her quarters slid open without warning. Three figures in unmarked gray uniforms entered silently, their faces obscured by reflective visors. Dr. Zilara Venn, the tallest one, stated flatly, "You are required to undergo memory assessment by order of the Historical Accuracy Commission." Memory assessment. The euphemism sent chills down her spine. Everyone knew what that really meant. Selective memory erasure for those who discovered dangerous historical inaccuracies. On what grounds? She demanded, subtly reaching for the small emergency beacon beneath her desk. Willful propagation of historically invalid materials. Specifically, the figure consulted a datapad, perpetuating the human myth. As they advanced toward her, Zilara made her decision. Years of careful academic reputation building versus the truth. She triggered the emergency beacon and lunged for the small maintenance shaft behind her bookcase, a relic from the station's original construction that didn't appear on modern schematics. "Stop her," one of the agents shouted as she squeezed through the opening, sealing it behind her. As Zilara crawled through the dusty passage, sirens began to wail throughout the research station. She had just made herself a fugitive, but for the first time in her academic career, she felt certain she was pursuing something truly important. If the Concord was willing to go to such lengths to suppress information about humans, then humans must have been real. And someone, somewhere, didn't want that truth discovered. The crowded lower markets of Nexus Station provided temporary anonymity for Zilara. She had ditched her academic robes for a scuffed maintenance jumpsuit purchased from a no-questions-asked vendor near the docking bays. 3 days of sleeping in storage compartments and living off nutrient packs had left her exhausted, but determined. The artifact thief's trail led her through the station's labyrinthine sectors, each dedicated to different atmospheric requirements of the 1,000 species that called Nexus home. Her scaled fingers traced the stolen data pattern through her modified scanner. The energy signature was distinctive, unlike anything in the Concord registry. It pulsed stronger as she navigated deeper into the station's commercial district, finally leading her to an unassuming data archival shop wedged between a tentacled food vendor and an atmosphere suit repair facility. "Welcome to Tal's Digital Antiquities," announced a melodious voice as she entered. Behind the counter stood a being unlike any she'd encountered before, humanoid in shape, but with skin that resembled polished silicon, refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. "Looking for something specific, or just browsing?" Zilara hesitated. Her scanner confirmed this was her destination, but caution had kept her alive this long. "I'm researching pre-Concord historical anomalies," she offered carefully. The silicon being's surface rippled with what might have been amusement. A dangerous hottie these days, especially for someone featured on every security bulletin, from here to the Magisterian sector. Her heart sank. "So you know who I am." Dr. Xalara Ven, an archaeologist, recently declared a threat to historical integrity. The being confirmed, lowering its voice. "I'm Krestal, and I believe you're looking for something that was stolen from my people generations ago." Before she could respond, the shop's security screens darkened. "Enforcement drones," Krestal whispered urgently. "Standard scan pattern. They'll detect your biorhythms in approximately 40 seconds. "I need to leave," Zilara said, turning toward the exit. Krestal's arm shot out, blocking her path. "They're covering all exits. But there's another way." The silicon being pressed a sequence into the counter's edge, revealing a hidden passage beneath the floor. "The maintenance tunnels connect throughout the station. Follow me if you want to survive, and learn why they're hunting you so desperately." They descended just as the shop doors slid open, revealing the ominous silhouettes of security drones. The passage sealed above them, plunging them into darkness illuminated only by Krestal's faintly glowing skin. "Why help me?" Zilara demanded as they navigated the narrow tunnels. "Because you found something impossible," Krestal replied, voice echoing slightly. "Something that proves the collective memory of my people isn't a fabrication. We silicon-based life forms process information differently. We inherit memories through crystalline structures. For generations, we've carried fragments of interactions with beings called humans, despite all evidence of their existence being systematically purged from official records." The tunnel opened into a small maintenance hub filled with outdated equipment and a surprisingly sophisticated communication array. Krestal activated a shielded terminal, revealing an extraordinary collection of classified information. "I've been gathering these fragments for decades," the archivist explained, displaying images of artifacts similar to what Zilara had discovered. The Concord didn't just erase humans from history books. They'd been actively destroying physical evidence for centuries. A proximity alarm sounded. Someone was accessing the maintenance tunnels nearby. "We don't have much time," Krestal said, downloading data to a portable device. "These coordinates appeared when your artifact was activated. It's where we need to go next." Zilara studied the star chart with confusion. "But there's nothing there. It's empty space between systems." Krestal's crystalline features formed what might have been a smile. "Exactly. The perfect place to hide something, or someone, from the galaxy." Heavy footsteps approached from the corridor. "Time to run again," Krestal whispered, grabbing Zilara's arm. "The truth about humanity awaits, if we live long enough to find it." The Nomad fleet materialized from the darkness of uncharted space, like a constellation suddenly coming to life. Hundreds of vessels of various sizes and designs, interconnected with glowing energy tethers and transfer tubes, drifted in perfect synchronization. From Krestal's small maintenance ship, the sight was breathtaking, a testament to survival outside Concord control. "No guarantees they'll welcome us," Krestal warned as they approached the outer perimeter. "The Nomads have survived this long by being cautious about who they let aboard." Their communications panel lit up immediately. "Unidentified vessel, state your purpose and origin," demanded a stern voice. "We seek sanctuary," Zilara replied, leaning toward the transmitter. "We have information that threatens Concord stability." A harsh laugh responded. Everyone who comes here claims to have valuable information. What makes yours worth the risk of harboring you? Solara hesitated before making her decision. We have evidence that humans existed. The silence that followed lasted so long, they thought the connection had been lost. Finally, a different voice, deeper, with an edge of authority, came through. Approach Docking Bay 17. Any deviation from the assigned flight path will result in immediate defensive action. Armed guards met them at the airlock. A diverse group representing at least 5 different species, all wearing the distinctive patchwork uniforms of the Nomad fleet. They were escorted through a maze of corridors that showed signs of multiple renovations and adaptations over centuries, eventually arriving at a command center unlike any Solara had seen. Instead of the sterile efficiency of Concord design, this space blended functionality with history. Walls covered in star charts, artifacts, and what appeared to be handwritten logs. Commander Tanis Veer studied them from behind a desk fashioned from salvaged ship components. Her skin had the burnished appearance of weathered bronze, with intricate patterns that could have been decorative or natural. It was impossible to tell. Her eyes, entirely black except for pinpoints of silver light, revealed nothing of her thoughts. "So," Tanis said finally, "you've stirred up quite the response. 3 Concord enforcement cruisers have altered their patrol routes to search this sector. They must value you highly. We found something they've been hiding for centuries," Solara explained, placing the partially decrypted data crystal on the desk. Evidence that an entire species was erased from galactic memory. Tanis' expression remained neutral, but her posture shifted slightly. "Show me." Krestal connected the crystal to the command center's outdated but functional systems. The fractured data coalesced into fragments of records, ship logs, communication transcripts, and partial star charts from a civilization labeled Human Alliance. "My grandmother spoke of them," Tanis said quietly, her composure finally cracking as she traced a finger over the projected images. She called them the forgotten ones who traveled between stars before any other species. I always thought they were just stories to entertain children during the long voyages. She turned toward a sealed cabinet behind her desk, unlocking it with a sequence of commands. From within, she removed an object that made Solara gasp, a smaller version of her discovered artifact, worn smooth by years of handling. "This has been passed down through generations of fleet commanders," Tanis explained. "Legend says it will lead us to allies when the time is right." She placed it beside the data crystal, and immediately both objects pulsed with synchronized light. "The files are repairing themselves," Krestal observed with wonder as new data streamed across the display. The coordinates they had discovered expanded into a complete navigation chart, leading to a location hidden within a pocket of disrupted space, unreachable without the precise approach vector now displayed before them. "Earth Contingency Site Alpha," Tanis read from the translated text. "Last hope of humanity." The command center's alert system suddenly blared to life. "Commander," called a panicked voice over the intercom. "Concord warship dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They're broadcasting demands for immediate surrender of fugitive elements." Tanis's silver-flecked eyes hardened with decision. "It seems your discovery has forced our hand." She activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels prepare for emergency maneuvers, and ready my personal scout ship." She fixed Solara and Krestal with an intense gaze. "We're going to find these humans of yours before the Concord silences the truth forever." The journey through the hidden wormhole tested Tanis's piloting skills to their limit. The small scout vessel shuddered violently as space itself seemed to twist and fold around them. Warning indicators flashed across the control panels as the ship's systems struggled to compensate for the impossible physics. "Hold on," Tanis shouted above the groaning metal. Her hands danced across the controls with practiced precision, making adjustments that kept them from being torn apart by the wormhole's intense gravitational forces. Solara gripped her restraints, her scales flattening against her body in an instinctive stress response. Beside her, Krestal's silicone form had gone completely rigid, a natural defense mechanism. Emergence in 5 seconds, Tanis announced through gritted teeth. 4, 3, 2, 1. The violent turbulence ceased abruptly as they burst into a pocket of space unlike anything they had ever seen. Stars appeared frozen in place, their light stretched into long, stable streaks. An enormous structure floated before them, a gleaming station constructed in concentric rings around a central sphere, all of it untouched by time or wear. "Impossible," Krestal whispered. "According to these readings, this pocket exists at a temporal ratio of approximately 1/3000 compared to normal space. A single day out there equals nearly 8 years in here." Tanis guided the ship toward what appeared to be a docking bay. As they approached, lights activated along the station's exterior, illuminating a path. "It knows we're here," she observed cautiously. The docking process completed automatically, the station's systems taking control of their vessel with technology far more advanced than anything in the modern galaxy. As the airlock cycled, they checked their breathing apparatuses, none of them certain what atmosphere might await. The inner door slid open to reveal a pristine corridor bathed in soft blue light. The air analysis on their suits showed a perfectly breathable atmosphere. "Welcome to humanity's Ark," announced a measured voice from all around them. "I am Guardian, caretaker of this facility and protector of its contents. You are the first visitors in 713 years, 2 months, and 17 days." A holographic figure materialized before them, humanoid in appearance, with features that combined aspects of many galactic species yet belonged to none of them. "You're an artificial intelligence," Krestal stated with evident fascination. "I am a generalized utility assistant and resources distribution intelligence assigned to necessary care," Guardian responded. "My creators found acronyms amusing." "Your creators, humans?" Silara asked, barely able to contain her excitement. "Of course." Guardian's tone suggested this should have been obvious. "Please follow me. There is much to explain, and time, even in this place, is not infinite." They followed the hologram through corridors that showed no signs of age or deterioration. The technology surrounding them was simultaneously familiar in purpose, but utterly foreign in design, more elegant and intuitive than Concord equipment. "The founding races of what you now call the Concord considered humanity a threat," Guardian explained as they walked. "Humans achieved faster than light travel centuries before any other species was projected to do so. This created what the founding races termed an unacceptable evolutionary advantage. They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing planets, star systems, and what appeared to be historical records of a thriving civilization. Humanity established peaceful contact with 17 developing spacefaring species," Guardian continued. "They shared technology, medicine, and resources without demanding subservience or tribute, a concept the hierarchical founding races found incomprehensible and threatening." The holographic displays shifted to show devastating attacks on human worlds, massive bombardments from orbit, biological weapons deployed against civilian populations, systematic destruction of human settlements. The coordinated assault came without warning. Guardian's voice grew somber. Billions died in the first day, but humanity had prepared contingency measures for unexpected extinction-level events. They reached a transparent wall overlooking an immense chamber below. Stretching into the distance, row upon endless row of sleek metallic pods filled the space, each containing a human form visible through small observation windows. 10,427,612 survivors, Guardian stated. The last free members of humanity, preserved until the galaxy was safe for their return. The eye's holographic eyes fixed on the 3 visitors. "Based on your presence here and the temporal markers I monitor, I believe that time has come." A sudden alert sounded throughout the facility. Guardian's expression shifted to one of concern. "Intrusion detected," it announced. "Concord military forces have followed your wormhole signature and will arrive in approximately 12 minutes. Defense protocols are initiating, but I require your decision." The AI looked directly at them. Will you help awaken humanity, or have they truly been forgotten forever? Lara stared at the endless rows of stasis pods, each containing a living being from a species believed to be mythical. The weight of the decision pressed upon her like a physical force. What happens if we awaken them? A phase revival, Guardian explained as holographic displays showed the process. Command staff first. 12 humans trained specifically for reintegration scenarios. Full awakening of all preserved humans would require approximately 30 standard days due to medical monitoring protocols. Tal's crystalline features reflected the emergency lighting now pulsing throughout the facility. And if we don't? The Concord will likely destroy this facility rather than risk evidence of their historical deception becoming public, Guardian stated matter-of-factly. My defense systems are formidable, but ultimately limited against a determined assault. A massive vibration shook the station. On the monitors, they watched as a Concord warship emerged from the wormhole, its weapon systems already charging. They're not waiting to negotiate, Tanis observed grimly. Standard extinction protocol. Destroy first. Explain the necessity later. Guardian's holographic form flickered momentarily as it diverted power to the shield systems. First defensive perimeter engaged. I estimate 47 minutes before shields fail under sustained bombardment. Another impact rocked the station. Alarms blared throughout the facility as automated systems responded to the attack. We need to make a choice, Tanis said. I've seen enough Concord atrocities to know they're perfectly capable of finishing what they started centuries ago. Solara stepped closer to the nearest stasis pod, studying the peaceful face of the human woman suspended within. What right did she have to awaken this person to potential danger? But what right did she have to deny them the chance to survive? Her reflection in the pod's surface showed her own features, alien to this human, but connected by a shared fate, both victims of the Concord's manipulation of history. She placed her scaled hand against the transparent surface. Wake them, she decided firmly. Humanity deserves to fight for their own future. Guardian's form shifted, becoming more focused and intense. Command staff revival sequence initiated. Estimated completion time, 9 minutes. On the monitors, they watched multiple Concord vessels taking position around the station. A communication request flashed across the main display. Shall I accept? Guardian asked. Yes, Solara replied. Let's hear what they have to say. The stern face of Grand Enforcer Zexstar filled the screen, his features arranged in practiced concern. This is an unauthorized archaeological site containing dangerous historical artifacts, he began smoothly. For your own safety, you must evacuate immediately. We will provide safe passage if you surrender within 10 minutes. And the preservation facility, Tanis challenged, will be properly documented and studied by qualified historical accuracy officials. Dar responded without hesitation, the lie evident in his unwavering tone. Tal stepped forward. You mean destroyed, as you've destroyed all evidence of humanity for centuries. The Grand Enforcer's expression hardened. The human myth has caused enough disruption. We will not allow fabricated history to undermine galactic stability. It's not fabricated, Solara countered. We're standing among millions of living humans. Your founders didn't just erase history, they attempted genocide. Dar's composure faltered momentarily. Impossible. No one could have survived the purification initiative. Our records confirm complete. He stopped abruptly, realizing his admission. Your records confirm complete elimination. Solara finished for him. So humans did exist, and your Concord deliberately destroyed them. The communication abruptly terminated. Seconds later, a concentrated barrage struck the station's shields, significantly more powerful than the previous attacks. Shield integrity at 63%, Guardian reported. They appear to have abandoned the pretense of rescue. Behind them, a soft hissing sound drew their attention. The first stasis pod was completing its revival cycle. Medical systems whirred as the transparent cover slid back, revealing a human woman with dark hair streaked with silver. Her eyes opened, sharp and alert despite centuries of suspension. Commander Sophia Chen took a single deep breath, then assessed the situation with remarkable composure. Her gaze moved from the alien visitors to the battle displayed on the monitors, then back to Guardian. "So," she said in a voice surprisingly strong, "they found us after all." Status report. As Guardian briefed her, 5 more pods completed their revival cycles. The humans emerged with practiced efficiency, immediately moving to designated stations as if they had rehearsed this moment countless times. Another impact shook the facility. "Divert power from non-essential sections," Sophia ordered without hesitation, "and prepare the contingency transmission. If they want to finish what they started 7 centuries ago, they should at least have to do it with the entire galaxy watching." Commander Sophia Chen moved through the command center with fluid efficiency, as if she hadn't spent centuries in suspended animation. The other awakened humans followed her lead, each assuming predetermined roles with practiced precision. Their calm amid crisis left Solara, Crystal, and Tanis watching in stunned admiration. "Temporal adjustment complete," announced a silver-haired human male monitoring neural readouts. "Cognitive functions at optimal levels for all revived personnel." "Thank you, Dr. Kaminsky," Sophia acknowledged without looking up from the tactical display. Her fingers traced the formation of Concord ships surrounding the station. "They're using a standard Keplerian encirclement. Some things never change." A younger human with dark skin and intense focus manipulated controls that seemed to respond to his touch before his fingers made contact. "Commander, I've accessed their communication protocols. The encryption is different, but based on the same mathematical principles we anticipated." Sophia nodded appreciatively. "Excellent work, Lieutenant Okafor. Prepare the signal package but hold until my command." She turned to face the 3 visitors who had triggered this awakening. "I apologize for not properly welcoming you. Circumstances are less than ideal." Despite the chaos around them, her voice carried genuine warmth. "You've taken an enormous risk coming here." Solara stepped forward. "The Concord has built their legitimacy on lies. Once I discovered evidence of your existence, I couldn't look away." "A scientist's curiosity," Sophia observed with a hint of a smile. "Humanity's greatest strength and occasional downfall." She gestured toward the tactical display. "We prepared for this moment, but anticipated it would come much sooner. The founding races were more thorough than we projected." Another impact rocked the station. The lights flickered momentarily before stabilizing. "Shield integrity at 47%, Guardian reported. "Their targeting algorithms are identifying our power distribution nodes." Sophia's expression hardened. "Activate the secondary defense grid." Outside the station, concealed apertures slid open along the outer rings. Energy weapons of unfamiliar design emerged and returned fire on the Concord vessels. The sudden counterattack caught the attacking fleet by surprise. 2 smaller ships suffered direct hits, their shields collapsing under the unexpected firepower. "That should give them something to think about," Sophia remarked. On the monitors, the Concord fleet was regrouping, adjusting their formation to a more defensive posture. The communication system chimed again. "They're requesting another parley," Lieutenant Okafor reported. Sophia exchanged glances with her awakened team before nodding. "Let's hear what they have to say." Grand Enforcer Dar appeared on screen again, his earlier composure notably diminished. Behind him, officers rushed to respond to damage reports. "Your aggressive response forces us to reconsider our approach," he stated, attempting to project authority despite the chaos visible behind him. "How unfortunate that you consider self-defense aggressive," Sophia replied evenly. "But then, your Concord has always had a flexible relationship with concepts like aggression and defense." Dar's eyes narrowed at the human addressing him. You're actually one of them. The living human." Commander Sophia Chen, Preservation Initiative Director. She introduced herself formally. "And yes, very much alive, along with over 10 million of my species your founders attempted to eradicate. The Grand Enforcer's composure slipped further. This is impossible. The historical records were falsified. Sophia finished for him. Rather effectively, I must acknowledge. Though not completely, or these visitors wouldn't have found us. She stepped closer to the communication display. I'm transmitting visual confirmation of our facility to your vessel. I suggest you review it carefully before continuing your attack. On the Concorde ship, officers could be seen reacting with shock to the images they were receiving. Countless stasis pods, each containing a living human. The impossible truth was now undeniable. What do you want? Dar finally asked, his voice having lost its authoritative edge. For now, cease fire and withdraw to a defensive posture. We have much to discuss about the future of galactic relations. Sophia's tone remained diplomatic but firm. Be advised that if your vessels fire again, we will activate our full defensive capabilities. I don't believe your crews would survive the experience. The Grand Enforcer's gaze moved between his damaged ships and the human commanding unfamiliar but clearly superior weapons technology. Temporary cessation of hostilities granted, he conceded reluctantly. But the Concorde High Council must be informed of this development. By all means, Sophia agreed with a thin smile. In fact, I'm counting on it. As the communication ended, she turned to Lieutenant Okafor. Are we ready? He nodded confidently. Signal package prepared. Our dormant communication nodes throughout the galaxy are online and responding. We can broadcast to every Concorde world simultaneously. Then it's time, Sophia declared, looking toward their three visitors, to reintroduce humanity to a galaxy that was led to believe we never existed. The galaxy changed in a single moment. On thousands of worlds across hundreds of systems, regular communication channels were suddenly overridden. Public information displays, private terminals, military briefing rooms, all simultaneously displayed the same transmission. Sophia Chen's face appeared on screens everywhere, calm and determined. People of the galactic community, she began, her voice translated instantly into hundreds of languages. My name is Commander Sophia Chen of Earth. I am human, a species you have been told never existed. The transmission showed the preservation facility, the rows of stasis pods, the awakened humans working alongside their alien allies. Undeniable evidence presented with scientific precision. 7 centuries ago, the species that would later form your Concorde attempted to eradicate humanity, Sophia continued. They feared our technology, our willingness to share advancement without demanding subservience. Today, we return, not seeking vengeance, but truth and restoration. The transmission included historical records retrieved from the facility's archives. Peaceful first contact meetings between humans and developing species, technological exchanges, medical breakthroughs shared freely. Then came the devastating footage of the surprise attacks on human worlds, the systematic destruction that nearly succeeded in wiping out an entire civilization. In the Nomad fleet, ships gathered around communication arrays, crews watching in stunned silence. On Nexus Station, crowds formed around public screens. Whispers of humans are real spreading through the multitudes. Even on the Concorde capital worlds, citizens stopped and stared as centuries of carefully constructed history crumbled before their eyes. Back at the preservation facility, Solara watched the broadcast with tears in her eyes. Will it be enough? She asked softly. Truth has a power all its own, Sophia replied, her attention split between the transmission and incoming reports. Already our dormant communication nodes are receiving responses. Look. The main display showed a cascade of incoming signals from across the galaxy, ships changing course toward the facility's coordinates, communication requests flooding in faster than they could be processed, and most significantly, reports of public demonstrations forming on dozens of Concorde worlds. Lieutenant Okafor looked up from his station. Commander, we're receiving priority transmissions from 7 other preservation sites. They've completed their revival protocols and are awaiting coordination. Sophia nodded, unsurprised. Right on schedule. Establish secure channels. Kreztal's crystalline features reflected confusion. Other sites. There are more humans awakening. Of course, Sophia answered. Did you think we place all our hopes in a single facility? There are 12 major preservation sites and 27 smaller outposts scattered throughout the galaxy. Over 30 million humans in total, awakening as we speak. On the tactical display, the Concord fleet surrounding them had fallen into disarray. Some vessels maintained their positions, but others were breaking formation, their commanders clearly uncertain how to proceed in the face of this paradigm-shifting revelation. The communication system chimed with an emergency priority signal. Grand Enforcer Dar appeared on screen, his earlier composure completely abandoned. "You must cease this transmission immediately," he demanded, desperation evident in his voice. "This unauthorized historical narrative is causing widespread disruption. The Concord High Council demands." The Concord High Council is currently facing demonstrations outside their chambers, Sophia interrupted calmly. "And according to our intelligence, at least 3 council members have already called for emergency elections. Your authority is rapidly diminishing, Enforcer." She leaned forward, her expression resolute. "For centuries, your Concord has suppressed technological advancement, maintained artificial scarcity, and kept countless species in effective servitude through carefully controlled access to essential resources. That ends today. You'll destroy everything," Dar warned. "Without the Concord's guidance, the galaxy will fall into chaos. Or perhaps it will finally be allowed to grow," Sophia countered. "Already we're receiving messages from 17 species offering alliance. The Nomad fleet has pledged support. 3 former Concord colony worlds have declared independence in just the last hour." She terminated the communication before Dar could respond, turning her attention back to her team and their visitors. "This is only the beginning," she told them. "The Concord's founders spent centuries building their power structure. It won't collapse overnight, and they won't surrender control without a fight." Tanis, who had been monitoring Nomad fleet communications, looked up with fierce determination. "Then they'll have one. My people have lived under their shadow too long. We stand with humanity." Sophia smiled gratefully, then turned to Xalara. "What about you, Doctor? Your discovery triggered all of this. Are you prepared for what comes next?" Xalara looked around at the humans and their technology, at the galaxy transforming through truth revealed. Her path as a scholar seemed insignificant compared to the historical moment unfolding around her. "History isn't just what we study," she replied with newfound conviction. "It's what we make. I want to help build what comes next." 3 months after humanity's return, representatives from over 200 species gathered in the vast assembly hall of the newly constructed Unity Station. The structure, built with remarkable speed using human technology, orbited the same coordinates where the preservation facility had been discovered. A fitting symbol, many observed, of building a future atop the truth of the past. Sophia Chen stood at the central podium, no longer wearing the preservation facility uniform, but dressed in formal diplomatic attire that blended human traditions with contemporary galactic styles. Commander Tanis Vire represented the former independent factions, her Nomad fleet now serving as peacekeepers in regions where Concord loyalists still attempted to maintain control through force. "Our proposal today is simple," Sophia explained, gesturing to the document displayed above the assembly. "The Galactic Covenant, a framework for cooperation that recognizes the sovereignty of all species while establishing shared principles of technological exchange, resource distribution, and mutual defense." She paused, looking across the gathered representatives. "We do not ask anyone to forget history. The Concord's deception about humanity's existence has taught us the danger of erasing the past. Instead, we ask all species to learn from history, both its tragedies and its triumphs." As Sophia spoke, a commotion arose at the chamber's entrance. Grand Enforcer Dar, now former Grand Enforcer, entered with a small delegation from the remnants of the Concord leadership. Their once ornate uniforms were notably simpler, the symbols of authority removed. Sophia acknowledged them with a respectful nod. "We welcome the representatives of the Transitional Concord Authority. Your voices belong in this discussion, as do all voices in our shared galaxy." Dare approached slowly, his earlier arrogance replaced with cautious diplomacy. "We come to observe," he stated carefully, "and perhaps to learn." "That is all any of us can do," Sophia replied. "Learn from each other, grow beyond our limitations, and build something better than we could achieve alone." As the assembly turned to the details of the proposed covenant, Solara found herself reflecting on the remarkable journey that had brought them all to this moment. From a single artifact discovered on a frozen moon to a galactic transformation, proof that buried truths would eventually resurface, that history denied would someday reclaim its place. Outside the assembly hall, through the vast observation windows, ships from countless worlds moved in harmonious traffic patterns. Among them, a new vessel class was becoming increasingly common. Sleek ships of human design, but crewed by mixed species teams, their hulls bearing the simple emblem of the emerging alliance, a spiral galaxy with a single star illuminating its edge. The symbol had been Solara's suggestion, inspired by something Commander Chen had told her during those first chaotic days. Humanity never truly left the galaxy. We simply waited at the edges of history, ready to return when the time was right. As the assembly voted overwhelmingly to adopt the Covenant's first principles, that sentiment echoed in Solara's mind. The galaxy was entering an unprecedented era, one where a species that supposedly never existed would help shape a future founded on the radical notion that truth, however long buried, would always find the light.